Welcome to the Haunted Beard, everybody. My name is Jake. Thank you once again for joining me. Today, I want to give you my review for Mr. Crocket. This is a horror film that is now available to stream on Hulu. And this one tells the story of a mother who embarks on a quest to rescue her son from a demonic children's show host who is going around kidnapping children through the television. And Mr. Crocket is a bit of a kind of 90s nostalgic throwback, campy style horror film. It's got a little bit of a kind of cursed media aspect to it as well. And while there are a few elements here that I think are enjoyable, the majority of this didn't really work for me. The biggest positive here is the character of Mr. Crocket and the performance by Elvis Nolasco. And he does a pretty solid job. I like the vibes this guy is giving off. He is an evil Mr. Rogers. And that pretty much sums up his entire character, right? If Mr. Rogers was a wicked, sinister dude, he would be Mr. Crocket. And so I kind of like that idea. I like that concept. That sort of character design, I think, is pretty interesting and pretty entertaining. The performance of this guy, he gives off all the kind of vibes that you would want with this sort of character. This guy who is almost like too nice and too happy, and like his smile is too big that you're like, there's something this guy is hiding, right? And then, of course, he's this evil, wicked person who's going around killing people and kidnapping children. But it's this pretty nice balance between this, like, nice, too nice, sunshine and rainbows kind of thing, children's show host, while also being this, evil, wicked murderer kind of thing. But again, I like the performance. I like the character. It's definitely the highlight in the film. I also like some of the kind of practical effects. Like I said, you get a little bit of a throwback sort of thing. So you get some puppetry and puppet designs and practical effect stuff. That's always fun to see. 99.9 times out of 10, I prefer practical stuff over CGI. I feel like the majority of horror film fans do. And so I have to give a little bit of a shout out to it. I appreciate that they actually built some of this stuff. Some of the puppet design stuff is pretty cool. And I'm just thankful and glad that they at least went the practical route. And then my last positive, and this is a real small one, but I had to mention it. There is a line later on in this movie said by Mr. Crocket where he takes a dig at the kids' TV show Reading Rainbow that I found absolutely hilarious. I actually had to pause the movie because I was laughing that much. It is a fantastic line and just cracked me up, and I just had to mention it because it's so funny and just pretty great. Where the film didn't really work for me is largely in the overall story, as I didn't really find it all that interesting or compelling. This is a film that clocks in at like 80 minutes, 85 minutes, and it plays out in a very obvious, straightforward, and predictable way without any sort of unexpected twists and turns along the way. There is I guess, a bit of a unexpected reveal that occurs later on in the film, but it's something that I saw coming from a mile away. And so most of this thing is you're basically just waiting for the mom and a couple other people that she meets along the way to get into TV land where Mr. Crocket has kidnapped and taken all these children to. And again, the journey that we take to get there is very straightforward. There's not really much about it that sticks out or is memorable. There's a scene that happens in the second half of the film where this mom tracks down this woman whose son has also been kidnapped. And this woman has somehow figured out through these TV screens how to track down Mr. Crocket. It just seems like such a major plot point that's so conveniently resolved to where it's like introduce some sort of weird kind of magical element into this thing. This woman is able to read these TV screens and figure out exactly where Mr. Crocket is going to be. And none of it's really explained. It's just all presented in such a matter-of-fact sort of way, and we're supposed to just kind of go along with it. Another aspect that I felt the film kind of struggled with a little bit has to do with the tone. And this is a film that, like I said, it has this sort of campy, schlocky kind of vibe to it. But at the same time, it's dealing with something as serious as children being kidnapped. And so there are moments where it really kind of plays into the seriousness and the sadness and the emotions of this horrific experience of these parents, you know, losing their children, while at the same time there are other moments in the movie that are, again, kind of this schlocky, goofy, silly, again, the vibes of a children's show. And it's like children's show and kidnapped children, kind of, you know, trying to fuse those two tones together. It doesn't really fully come together for me. And then my final issue is I found the ending of the film to be pretty anticlimactic and unsatisfying. And I hate when movies, you know, that you build this whole 90-minute movie to this climactic moment, and then everything seems to get resolved in the easiest, most convenient way. And you're like, what? It just, again, it feels so convenient, and it's like, this is stupid. Like, this is the resolve. This is how we're going to end all this. And then the movie does something else that 99 times out of 100 I can't stand, where everything gets resolved, and then there's like this additional 10 minutes that are tacked on because it's like, oh, maybe let's set this up for another one. And it's just like, can we just tell a complete story, please, and end it? And I don't know. I don't like that the movie did that. This is a movie that needed to only be like, you know, an hour or 70 minutes, but then they had to pad the runtime because, I don't know, they didn't have enough movie to go around for as long as they wanted it to. I don't know. But the last 10 minutes just feel tacked on and don't even need to be there. So overall, yeah, was not much of a fan of this one outside of the performance of the main guy. And some of the nostalgic, you know, vibes and some of the practical effects I like, but pretty much everything else didn't really work for me. So I'm gonna be like, man, 3.5, maybe 4 out of 10 for Mr. Crocket. So yeah, those are my thoughts. Like always, hit me up down below. Very curious and interested in hearing your guys' thoughts. Always look forward to hearing from you. Thank you so much for watching. Greatly appreciate it. If you got anything out of this video, go ahead and do me a favor and do not click that subscribe button unless you want to be haunted by the beard.